Why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything.
But you have to really play hard. Does that hurt you physically?
No, because when I play hard all the time. You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% at all time.
Yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in. I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships. Like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Did you know how hard it is?
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back. Or some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight.
Coward. You know, it's all about winning championships and winning.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
You know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me and I want to shut him up. So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it, and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens.
It might not be in the team's best interest, in your best interest to play all 82. Is that something you've thought about at all since you made the goal?
That's a goal, but yeah, we'll see.
The next day.
I'm available to go and be in the pro. If OBJ shows up, he might score 100.
If you're going to make $50, $60 million a year and just say, hey, you know what? I'm only going to play 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. At some point, the fan going to be saying, wait a minute, you're charging me this much for tickets. Why in the world should I care if they don't care?
NBA legends just broke their silence and they're not holding back anymore. Now, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Michael Jordan's former teammates are going nuclear on Kevin Durant and LeBron James. For years, these legends watched quietly as the modern NBA lost its way. They saw the disrespect, they saw the lack of competition, they saw players caring more about their brands than basketball, but they stayed mostly quiet until now. Because Kevin Durant and LeBron James finally crossed a line they can't come back from. They sat on a podcast and laughed at Michael Jordan's legacy. They mocked the greatest player who ever lived, and that was the moment NBA legends decided enough is enough. What you're about to hear isn't just criticism, it's a complete destruction. These legends are exposing everything wrong with Durant and LeBron, the hypocrisy, the fake toughness, the desperate need for validation, and most importantly, the complete lack of respect for the game that gave them everything. Stacey King won 3 championships playing alongside Michael Jordan in Chicago. He knows greatness when he sees it, and he knows fake when he sees it too. When Durant and LeBron sat on that podcast cracking jokes about Jordan's baseball retirement, King had heard enough. He didn't just respond, he went nuclear. King sarcastically renamed LeBron's show the Crimea River Podcast and tore into both of them for their constant need to tell everyone how great they are.
LeBron and KD and Steve Nash did their little podcast thing, and they always drag the legacy of Michael Jordan.
What is it called? Was it Crimea River?
Crimea River. I think
Crimea River Podcast? Oh, my God. I tell you what, man, listen. I was watching
Revisionist history, they should call it.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah. That's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. You know, players don't have to do that. You know, that we all know you're great. You don't have to tell us. You know, when you have to go around trumpeting that you're great and what separates you from all the other people that makes you greater than them, that's a problem. You know, that's a problem. That's why I say it's a Crimea River Podcast, because you're crying and moaning about what they said. And they were kind of sneak dissing MJ. If you really listen between the lines, you know, they were talking about, Kevin Durant was talking about how longevity is more important than rings and all that other stuff. Being in the league basically for 20 plus years shows the dedication and the hard work that you had to do to stay here. But he failed to mention, you know, the load management and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career, you know, 82 games in a season.
Yeah, right.
LeBron's only played 1 time 82 games in a season. MJ, 9 times in his career played 82 games, plus the playoffs and championships that goes into 115 games. So to listen to these guys discredit the former players and how great they were to you know, basically step on top of them to get themselves higher, is really sad.
King said something that cut straight to the bone. Great players don't have to tell people they're great. You let the fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. When you start going around trumpeting that you're great and pointing out what separates you from everyone else, that's a problem. He's exactly right. You know who never had a podcast to convince people of his greatness? Michael Jordan. You know who never needed to sit around comparing himself to other players? Michael Jordan. Because when you're truly great, your game speaks for itself, your rings speak for themselves, your legacy speaks for itself. But King didn't stop there. He called them out by name. That's why I call it the Cry Me a River podcast, because you're just crying and moaning about what people say about you. That's what this really is. Durant and LeBron are so insecure about their legacies that they have to sit around on podcasts taking shots at Michael Jordan, trying to convince people that longevity matters more than dominance, that playing 20 years matters more than 6 championships, that load managing through your career is somehow more impressive than playing through pain every single night.
To have a long career, that's the goal, to be in the league for 20 years. I tell you, that's the goal.
Artis Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy, because that's what basketball is all about.
Bird takes it away from Wilkins, goes to the floor and gets it up ahead.
This rest stuff just drives me crazy. You're playing basketball for a living, okay? I understand if you're working in a coal mine that you may need a rest day after it. You're playing basketball.
You play basketball 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day, right? That's your job. That's what you get paid to do as an NBA player. What are you doing the other 21 hours? I mean, to me, that's when you should be preparing for your next day of work.
King exposed the biggest hypocrisy of all. It was on that podcast talking about how longevity is more important than championships, how being in the league for 20 plus years shows dedication and hard work. But here's what Durant conveniently forgot to mention. In his entire career, Kevin Durant has only played all 82 games 3 times in nearly 2 decades, and LeBron James, he's only done it one time in over 20 years. These are the guys lecturing everyone about commitment and longevity while they're sitting out games left and right because they don't feel like playing. King wasn't done. He went after Durant's playoff failure since leaving Golden State. Brooklyn was supposed to be his team. His chance to prove he could win without the Warriors failed, demanded a trade. Phoenix was supposed to be different. Another super team, another chance, failed again, couldn't even make it 3 full years before demanding out. King said it straight up. Durant hasn't proven he can win without Steph Curry. All those years, all that talent, and nothing to show for it when he's actually the #1 option carrying a team. But sure, let's sit around and criticize Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson has been one of the most diplomatic legends when it comes to the modern game. He usually finds something positive to say. He tries to build bridges between eras. But even Magic reached his breaking point with this disrespect, because what Durant and LeBron did on that podcast proved everything Magic has been saying about what's wrong with today's NBA. The lack of real competition, the buddy-buddy culture, the players who care more about their image than actually destroying their opponents. Magic explained it perfectly when talking about his era. Back when the Lakers and Celtics met, it meant something. He and Larry Bird genuinely hated each other during the season. That hate drove them to greatness. Fans felt it. The entire country stopped to watch because every single play carried real emotional weight. Magic said, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really didn't like you. Now I love you because you're out of that green and white. That's what it was. The Celtics and Lakers hated each other. It made for great TV and people tuning in.
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? Like, I mean,
they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother. Now I love you because you're out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? The Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
see, Magic, this is what I said.
Let them score 200 to 200. What is that?
Now look at today. Everybody's shaking hands before the game. Everybody's best friends on social media. Players going to each other's parties, vacations, business ventures. There's no real rivalry, no real hate, no real competition. And when stars like Durant and LeBron sit around laughing together on podcasts about Michael Jordan's retirement, it just confirms everything Magic has been saying. These guys don't have that competitive fire. They don't have that edge. They're more worried about their podcasts and their brands than actually being great at basketball. Magic connected it directly to the viewership crisis. He said it plainly. That's why the viewership numbers are going down, and these guys better wake up and say, hey man, we got to change this. The fans can see through it. They know when players don't care. They know when the competition isn't real, and they're voting with their remotes, turning off games, tuning out, because why would you pay money or spend time watching players who clearly don't care as much as you do? Charles Barkley has never been one to hold his tongue, but his response to Durant and LeBron's disrespect took it to another level, because Barkley sees this as bigger than just one podcast episode. To him, this represents the fundamental problem destroying the NBA. Modern players care more about their brands than basketball. They care more about being liked than being great. They care more about business deals than championships. Barkley said it straight up. If you're going to make $56 million a year and just say, hey, I'm only going to play 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 games, at some point the fans are going to say, wait a minute, you're charging me this much for tickets. Why should I care if you don't care? That's the reality. Fans are paying hundreds of dollars for tickets. They're buying jerseys. They're scheduling their lives around watching their favorite players, and then those players sit out because they're resting or because they don't feel like playing that night. It's a slap in the face.
You have a guy making 75, 80, 90, God forbid, $100 million a year to play basketball. Right. And the guy says, I'm going to rest tonight. At some point, the fans going to be saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've had enough. If this dude don't care about me, and that's the one thing that concerns me going forward. Man, we're the luckiest dudes in the world to play basketball. We're the luckiest dudes in the world. If you look at sports landscape, nobody get paid better than basketball players. Nobody.
Kevin's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. I don't like any guys who join super teams. I'm biased against LeBron when it comes to comparing him to Michael, joining Dwayne and those guys. Because, when we had this debate, and LeBron's amazing and spectacular, but I was like, Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his ass kicked and got bigger and got stronger and finally knocked the wall down. And, Kevin, who's a great player, other than the fact when he's joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in the GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
Damn.
You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those other places. You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't even make the play-in this year.
And Barkley pointed out the bigger issue. NBA players are the highest paid athletes in professional sports. The average NBA salary is $10 million. Most teams have 5 to 7 players making $20 to $25 million a year. Compare that to baseball, where maybe 5 guys on the entire roster are making big money. Basketball players work the least and get paid the most. They play 82 games compared to baseball's 162. They play 3 to 4 games a week, not 6 or 7, and they still complain about needing rest. Barkley connected this directly to Durant and LeBron's attitude. They represent this entitled generation that thinks showing up is enough. That longevity is more impressive than greatness. That playing 20 years while load managing and team hopping is somehow better than Michael Jordan playing 13 full seasons and dominating every single one of them. It's backwards, it's disrespectful, and it's exactly why fans are tuning out. Shaquille O'Neal brought a different angle to destroying Durant and LeBron. Shaq's issue is about toughness, about physicality, about being willing to dominate and take contact. And when he looks at today's game, he sees soft players who avoid the paint and settle for threes, players who would rather shoot step backs than establish position down low. And Durant and LeBron represent that mentality perfectly. Shaq said, if you got a skilled guy like me playing in the post, you can't tell me it's not a high percentage shot. Right now, you got a lot of unskilled guys trying to play the post who don't like taking contact, and that's the problem. Modern players don't want to feel contact. They don't want to battle in the paint. They want the easy three-pointer. They want the highlight, they want the social media clip, but they don't want to do the dirty work that actually wins championships. Shaq pointed out something crucial. Analytics are just numbers. They can be broken by something called adrenaline. In the playoffs, when everything is on the line, stats go out the window, will takes over, heart takes over, toughness takes over. And that's what separates real champions from guys who just stick around forever padding stats. Michael Jordan had that toughness, he had that will, he played through pain that would sideline modern players for weeks. He took contact every single night and kept coming back for more. Durant and LeBron, they're the opposite. Durant is 7 feet tall but plays like a guard, won't establish position in the post, won't use his size advantage, just drifts to the three-point line and settles for jump shots. LeBron has all the physical gifts in the world but has never been known As a lockdown defender who takes on the toughest assignment every night, he picks his spots, he conserves energy, he manages his effort level. That's not championship DNA, that's survivor DNA, and there's a massive difference. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, both champions and Hall of Famers, added their voices to the destruction. Their angle was about conditioning and preparation. They don't believe modern players are actually in good enough shape to play full seasons, and the numbers back them up completely. Garnett said, "I don't think the NBA player today is in tip-top shape. I think they think they're in shape until they talk to guys that are actually in shape." Here's what Garnett explained. Back in his era, they practiced every single day at game speed, full 5-on-5 scrimmages with contact and intensity for hours. That's how you build the conditioning to play 82 games plus deep playoff runs. Now, players come in and do individual work with the trainer for 30 minutes, maybe an hour at half speed. Then they expect to go play a 2-hour game at full intensity and not break down. It doesn't work that way. Garnett got specific about the details. He talked about calf muscles, how they're your brakes, your acceleration, your entire foundation for movement. He said modern players don't even do calf raises anymore. They skip the fundamentals. They skip the boring conditioning work that actually keeps you healthy. Then they wonder why they're always hurt and need to load manage. Pierce backed him up, saying guys used to play through injuries that would have today's players sitting out for weeks. And here's the hypocrisy Garnett and Pierce couldn't ignore. Durant and LeBron sat on that podcast talking about longevity like it's some amazing accomplishment. But Durant has only played all 82 games 3 times in his career. LeBron has done it once, one time in over 20 years. Compare that to Michael Jordan, who played all 82 games multiple times, who averaged massive minutes, who played through injuries, who showed up every single night because he respected the fans and the game. The math doesn't lie, and this is where NBA legends really destroyed Durant and LeBron's entire argument. Kevin Durant and LeBron James have played a combined 39 seasons. That's nearly 3 times as long as Michael Jordan's actual playing career. Almost 40 years of professional basketball between the two of them. And what do they have to show for it? 6 championships total, 5 regular season MVPs combined, 6 finals MVPs, 5 scoring titles, 5 all-defensive selections combined. Now look at Michael Jordan. 13 full seasons, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 9 all-defensive first teams. In roughly 1/3 the time, Jordan accomplished more than Durant and LeBron combined. That's not an opinion. That's not a debate. That's just cold, hard facts. Twice the time, half the results. That's the reality of longevity versus greatness. And here's what makes it even worse for Durant and LeBron. They sat on that podcast making jokes about Jordan retiring to play baseball, mocking him for quitting. But what they conveniently left out is what Jordan was actually going through. Michael Jordan didn't retire in 1993 because he was bored with basketball. He didn't walk away because the game got too easy. Jordan retired because his father was murdered. James Jordan was shot and killed during a robbery that summer, left on the side of the road like his life didn't matter. The man who pushed Michael to greatness, who believed in him before anyone else did, was gone. And Michael Jordan, at the absolute peak of his powers after winning 3 straight championships, walked away from basketball, not because he quit, because he was devastated, because he was grieving in a way most people can't imagine, because he wanted to honor his father's memory by pursuing the dream they'd talked about together, playing professional baseball. So when Kevin Durant casually throws out, "Some people play baseball with a smirk on his face," while LeBron laughs, they're not making a clever point. They're being disgustingly disrespectful. They're reducing one of the most painful moments in Jordan's life to a punchline. And NBA legends weren't going to let that slide because they understand context, they understand sacrifice, they understand what it actually means to be great. Let's talk about when Jordan retired. Was it after losing in the first round, after getting swept in the finals, after his team fell apart? No. Jordan retired after winning his 3rd straight championship. He three-peated, something Magic Johnson never did, something Larry Bird never did, something LeBron James has never done. 3 championships in a row while dealing with unimaginable grief, and he did it playing the most dominant basketball anyone had ever seen. Now let's talk about the irony. Who's sitting there making these comments about Michael Jordan? Kevin Durant, one of the biggest quitters in NBA history. In 2016, after losing to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, Durant made what's widely considered the most gutless decision in league history. He joined the 73-win team that beat him, the team that already had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. He joined them because he wanted easy championships, because he couldn't handle the pressure of actually leading a team to a title, and it didn't stop there. After leaving Golden State, Durant quit on Brooklyn, demanded a trade after failing to deliver, couldn't handle being the guy, couldn't lead without a super team. Then he went to Phoenix and quit on them too. Couldn't even last 3 full years before demanding out again. This is the guy calling Michael Jordan a quitter, the same guy who's jumped from team to team his entire career looking for the easiest path to a ring. Then there's LeBron. When things got tough in Cleveland the first time, he took his talents to South Beach, joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh because he couldn't win alone. When the Heat started declining, he ran back to Cleveland. When that got uncomfortable after Kyrie left, he bolted to Los Angeles. Every single time adversity hit, LeBron found the nearest exit. So for these two to mock Michael Jordan for stepping away after a three-peat following his father's murder, NBA legends saw that for what it really was, complete lack of self-awareness and respect. The legends made sure everyone understood what this disrespect really represented. This wasn't just about one podcast comment, this was about a fundamental problem in today's NBA, a culture where players don't respect the history, don't respect the sacrifice, don't respect the legends who built everything they're cashing checks from. Magic Johnson put it perfectly when he talked about how his generation earned what they got. They had to prove themselves first, then the endorsements came, then the big contracts came after they'd already shown they were great. Now players get everything before they play one game, max contracts based on potential, shoe deals as rookies, media platforms before they have accomplished anything. And it creates a mentality where they think they're already great without having to prove it, without having to earn it the way Jordan did, the way Magic did, the way Bird did. Durant and LeBron represent this entitled generation perfectly. They got paid first, got famous first, then figured out basketball second, and that's why they need podcasts to convince people of their greatness. That's why they need to constantly compare themselves to Michael Jordan. Because deep down, they know they're not on that level. They know longevity doesn't equal greatness. They know that playing 20 years while load managing and team hopping will never compare to 13 seasons of complete dominance.
Like you mentioned a little bit about today's game, because we had Clever on here and he talked about load management. He said, I don't know what the hell that is. Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how do we get it back?
Even for me, I love the NBA game, but then I turn on to a game, right? And then the stars are not playing because of load management. It's hurting the game.
So they try to rewrite the narrative. They try to make longevity the measuring stick instead of championships, MVPs, and impact. But NBA legends aren't letting them get away with it. Here's what Michael Jordan understood that Durant and LeBron never will. Jordan didn't chase longevity, he chased perfection. Every single season, his goal was crystal clear. Maximize himself, maximize his team, win championships, dominate on both ends of the floor, leave everything out there every single night, and if that meant a shorter career, so be it. Jordan said it himself. If I burn out, I burn out. That means my career's short and I'll go play golf somewhere. He wasn't worried about playing 20 years. He wasn't worried about breaking longevity records. He was worried about being the best, about winning, about building a legacy on greatness, not survival. And you know what? That mentality is exactly why his legacy can't be touched. Why NBC brought him back instead of LeBron when they wanted to change the culture of the NBA. Why his name still carries more weight than anyone playing today, even though he's been retired for over 20 years. Jordan's silence is the loudest response to Durant and LeBron's disrespect. He doesn't need a podcast to defend his legacy. He doesn't need to sit around comparing himself to other players. He doesn't need to convince anyone of anything, because when you're truly the greatest, your work speaks for itself. 6 championships, perfect finals record, 10 scoring titles, 5 MVPs, 9 all-defensive first teams, the most dominant peak in basketball history. That's his response, and it's louder than anything Durant or LeBron could ever say. The message NBA legends are sending is clear. You don't get to rewrite history. You don't get to mock the sacrifice and pain of the greatest player who ever lived just because you're insecure about your own legacy. Longevity doesn't equal greatness. Sticking around doesn't make you better than someone who dominated completely. And most importantly, you better respect the game and the legends who built it, or you'll get destroyed, just like Durant and LeBron are getting destroyed right now. Social media erupted after these legends spoke out. Fans weren't holding back either. One post said, "Some people's father gets murdered and they go play baseball to honor him. Some people join a 73-win team, get caught making burner accounts, play for 3 more teams, never find success again, then say the goal is to play forever, not to actually win." Another wrote, "He stopped in the middle of a three-peat, came back and dominated everyone again. They can't even compare to his accomplishments." Durant tried defending himself on Twitter. He wrote, "I'll say MJ retired twice every day for the rest of my life. What are you going to do about it?" But that just made it worse, because every time he brings it up, people remind him of the context he's ignoring, the murder, the grief, the three-peat, and they remind him of his own history, the team hopping, the failures without Curry, the load management. The hypocrisy becomes more obvious every time he speaks. This is what happens when you disrespect greatness, when you try to tear down legends to build yourself up. It backfires, it exposes your insecurities, it shows everyone you know you're not on that level, so you need to bring them down to yours. Jordan never did that. Kobe never did that. They respected the players who came before them. They honored the game's history. They built their legacies by winning, not by gossiping on podcasts about who quit and who didn't. NBA legends just sent a message to every player in the league. Respect the history, respect the sacrifice, respect the game, or get exposed, because greatness recognizes greatness, and when you're not great, everyone can see it. No amount of longevity will hide it. No amount of podcasts will change it. No amount of load management will justify it. You either dominate or you don't. You either win or you don't. You either show up every night or you don't. And right now, Durant and LeBron just got exposed for not measuring up to the standard Michael Jordan set. If you think NBA legends are right to call out this disrespect, hit that like button. If you're tired of modern players trying to rewrite history, drop a comment below. And if you want more truth about what's really happening in basketball, make sure you subscribe because this conversation's just getting started.